How's it going, everybody? So we're going to go ahead on and get into what artificial intelligence is, and we're going to let them tell you. This is a gentleman who once worked for D-Wave Quantum Computers. Tell you what their
if not to say strange.
Tell you what their AI is all about.
We have the creator of what is the world's first quantum computer in person here from Burnaby, BC.
And I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'll stop here and there to where there's no copyright, to where the video will legitimately be uploaded and not blocked.
We have the
or compromised
president of the super high-tech company that makes Canada's iconic Canada Arm. And my thought in putting together there where our third, my thinking. So let's begin with Geordie.
So he gave a list of all the guys that are going to be speaking, but Geordie Rose is going to be first, and he works for D-Wave Quantum Computers.
Geordie,
And yep.
I don't understand much about quantum computing except that it's supposed to be the next big thing.
And of course, anything they're telling you has been around way longer.
In power and in speed, and that you are the only company in the world now actually making one.
Well, hopefully after this 17 minutes, you'll understand what they are and be excited about what you might be able to use them for.
And of course, we got another video with this same guy, Geordie, where he works for a new AI company years later called Kindred. Think about kindred spirits, but he's going to tell you they're contacting entities in parallel universes.
There are really big deals.
Which is what AI really is. It's the ghost in the machine. And consequently will be the mark of the beast.
They come in at about 15 or $20 million a piece.
Something like that.
And have been bought by major American research corporations.
That's right, correct.
All right, Geordie.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Of course, there's one at the University of Florida. Of course, you know, the movie The Devil's Advocate came from Gainesville, Florida. And they even said, "Go Gators," before he left town to New York, where Al Pacino was. Played the part of the devil.
So quantum computing is a very technical subject, and I'm not going to talk a lot about the specific details, of which I'm glad. You're sure you're glad.
We're fascinated.
But I'm going to try to give you an idea about what the kind of thing is that we build and why people are so excited about it. But I'm going to wrap.
So he's going to start telling a story about his son's bear, and his son's going to say, "But Dad, the bear's not really alive." And what Geordie's telling you is the reason why he's drawing this conclusion is because the computer is alive. That's what he's going to. That's not all he's going to tell you, but that's how it begins.
Wrap that story in another story.
It's going to tell the story about his AI by telling you another story.
How many of you have children? Let's see.
I'm going to speed this up.
So
a
it's
little
almost
bit.
everybody. So I have 3 children. The youngest is 4. The oldest is 8. And they're very different, but they share one thing in common. And the parents in the audience may, I suspect, have noticed the same thing. Each of my children has
fixated on a particular stuffed animal.
Fixated on a particular stuffed animal as being their special.
Cole, he's my miracle child.
Okay, sorry about that.
So how does your miracle child
Friend or toy? And in particular, my middle son, James, absolutely loves this little guy called Bear Bear, which is the picture that I'm showing up here. Bear Bear was a limited release Thai Beanie Baby, and there aren't very many of them that were made of his particular form. And one Christmas, I decided that it would be insurance policy to go and try to buy some more just in case something happened to Bear Bear. So I went on the internet and did a search, and I was only able to locate 2 others that were for sale, and I bought both of them. So now he has 3 of these little guys. But the reason that it occurred to me that this might be a good place to start is a conversation that I had with him last week. He wanted to sleep with his older brother. in his bedroom, and his older brother wouldn't let him. And he was very sad and despondent. He's like, I'm scared. I don't want to sleep by myself. And I said, well, you got Bear.
Says, oh, well, you got Bear. I'll slow it back down for you now. He said, but Bear's not alive. Think about why he's telling you that.
And he said to me, Bear isn't real.
But this computer is real, isn't it?
And so I found this very intensely distressing for a variety of reasons that maybe you'll understand when I go through this. And I assured him that Bear was as real as anything else in the world. And he said, but he can't speak and he can't move. And so I said, well, what you really mean is he's not alive.
Right, Captain.
And he said, yes, that's what I mean. So for very young children, the sense of being real and the sense of being alive are somehow connected. And I'm going to circle back to this point at the end.
Oh, is he ever?
Before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about quantum computers and why people care so much about them. There are literally tens of thousands of some of the brightest people in the world today.
I'm going to go ahead and speed it back up a little bit. I'm quite sure we can understand them at the 1.5, right?
Trying to build these machines and understand them. And I'm going to tell you why. In my last 15 years of working on this type of stuff, I found that scientists divide up into two categories of zealots about this field. The first half are people who are absolutely entranced by the physics of these things.
Physics is fuzzy math. It's not real. They hide it behind something that's way over your head, but it's just a bunch of numbers and it means absolutely nothing.
Quote is from a respectable scientist, in fact, one of the founders of this field, that may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very
theoretical physics. In theory, like the theory of evolution, it's not real. It's a theory that's taught as if it's real, or the theory of gravity. You know, why the apple fall out of the tree or the water sticks to the ocean, but the butterfly can somehow, or the balloon can somehow break gravity and just float, no problems. Leaves. How about everything's just based off weight density? Yeah, there you go. And you're surrounded by Antarctica, but that's another story for another day.
Very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes, and that is
quantum computation will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes. This is paranormal activity.
Is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number of parallel realities, as real as this one.
Really? Parallel realities as real as this one.
This number, mind-bogglingly large number of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories. So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way.
He just fed you a line of Manushka.
Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch, and whether you...
What you chose to eat for lunch. You know, God's already ordained what you're going to eat for lunch next week. He's ordained the end from the beginning. I wonder if that's kind of what he's cryptically telling you.
Chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember.
Okay.
And this is bizarre because we don't see those other things. But science has...
You don't see the spirit world?
Reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds.
Oh, so y'all are building machines that tap into these other worlds, kind of like, I don't know, a crystal ball used to be used, or drawing a circle and a pentagram and, you know, doing a seance, you know, kind of like the old Ouija board where you start to connect. But y'all are calling it a multi-million-dollar machine. I got you. Who do you think told man how to build technology in the first place? As soon as man was allowed, or as soon as man was shown probably how to build a speaker or channel through channeling spirits, was given the ability to make a speaker. I bet you a voice came across that speaker and then told man how to go to the next step and the next step and the next step. Next thing you know, you had a computer. Way before they told you computers were built, they already had these types of technology. As soon as electricity, Satan fell like lightning, AC/DC, hell's bells. Satan fell like lightning. Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity by getting hit by lightning. Satan fell like lightning. AC/DC, you know, the band, hell's bells.
And quantum computers are perhaps the most exciting of all of these that we have within, or almost within, our grasp right now. So people from a
Yeah. It's been out for decades, but you know, it's almost out.
physics background love this. They want to understand the world. They want to understand the universe, how it all works. There's
The Bible tells you.
another type of person who tends to come from the computer science side that's like, yeah, okay, that's all great. But there's a different thing going on here, which is just as exciting, if not more, and that these machines.
Up here it says quantum computers can solve problems whose solution will never be feasible by a conventional computer. What is a conventional computer? It's something you program. Those went out a long time ago. What do you think Google is? That's AI. What do you think runs YouTube? AI. What do you think Facebook is? That's AI. What do you think Instagram is? That's AI. The government doesn't spy on you. The ghost in the machine's got all of that covered. They don't not only watch what you do on the internet, they can, anything that has a camera like your cell phone, or we're told your smart TVs, they can at least hear you, but we've been told that they have little mini cameras on smart TVs. The AI, the ghost in the machine, is tracking everything that you do. So you better be good, for goodness sake.
Machines that supposedly can do this wild stuff. Let's forget about how they work.
Let's forget about how they work. But again, if it's all this much better than a computer you can program, then how does it work? Let me just put it to you like this. The fallen angel demonic realm, to say that they're just smarter or stronger and smarter than a human being, now as their actual physical force, they're not allowed to. I think you saw in the movie The Exorcist what happened, and I don't know how real any of that is, but I can tell you that at the end times, those, when they worship the image of the beast, they will be uploaded into every non-sheep on the earth. They will have superhuman power, and they will go around killing sheep. That's what the mark of the beast is. That's why it's called iron mixing with clay in Daniel 2:43. Clay is humans. The iron is the technology, and that's what the mark of the beast will be. That's Daniel 2:43. We'll go over it at the end if I remember.
If you could build one, could solve problems that you could never, ever solve with any computer of the sort that we built.
Really? You mean the ones that have to be programmed by humans?
If you took every single atom of silicon in the world and made the most sophisticated conventional Intel style processor that you could build, there are problems we know of that I could write down on a sheet of paper that you could never, ever, ever solve with that thing.
That's because the way smarter than humans fallen angel realm is what's solving it, or what is answering the question.
That you could with this kind of machine. So that's very exciting.
Whoa. Okay.
Humans use tools
You ever heard of a Trojan horse?
to do things. If you give humans a new kind of tool that can do things that you couldn't otherwise do, imagine the possibilities.
Oh yeah. Well, witches have been doing it forever. Crystal, what is it? Crystal balls, you know, channeling spirits. They've been, this goes back to as early as, I don't know. It just goes back many centuries.
So you may think, well, this is all fine and dandy, but aren't these things in the realm of theory and speculation, kind of in the same regime as other?
Did I say centuries? Yeah. Yeah. Way more than just centuries. Thousands.
Futuristic things you may have heard of, which may be allowed by the laws of physics, but aren't here yet?
Physics.
That's not
Fake.
true.
Fake math.
There are, in fact,
Fuzzy
many
math.
of these machines deployed now in openly available research centers following the model that was used to introduce supercomputers to the world.
And don't forget, nanotechnology was in the poke. I proved that to y'all on basic, simple Google researches. Did screenshots, gave you links. Back in the day, back when that was a thing. And also then proved to you that the nanotechnology connects to, you know, what your phone runs on. It's a number between 4 and 6. And then the letter that God begins with, or generation. Yeah. Nanotechnology connects to that. And it was in the poke.
World. They're too big and ornery and difficult to operate to put in your home. Too expensive also. But you can give them to a place which will manage them as a shared.
Every country's connected to AI. They're all given the script. That's why Ephesians 6:12 says you don't have your enemies, your truest enemies on this earth are not flesh and blood. It's the principalities, it's the fallen angels. Well, how do they go about their business? How are they your true enemy? Because they tell the humans of the mystery Babylonian, you know, the mystery religions, the mystery Babylonian religion that runs this earth, they tell them what to do. And they refer to these entities as their ascended masters.
Resource that will offer that service to the world. And there are 2 of these now. One of them is at the University of Southern California.
Trojan horse. That's a dead giveaway. That's how they operate, by the way. They're very cryptic on how they speak.
And this analogy with flight, I think, is an interesting one. So a horse.
I'll go and speed it back up. Because he's being vague and cryptic purposefully.
Can beat, or could beat, the initial flight of the Wright brothers flight in speed.
So a horse could, at the original Wright brothers flight, a horse could outrun it.
But a plane is not a faster horse. A plane is a different kind of machine. The plane takes advantage of another thing, another resource that nature.
Another resource. He says resource.
Gives us this third dimension.
Ooh, this third dimension.
In order to do something that matters to people better that you could do with any horse.
What's it?
So what he's getting at, well, we'll let him tell you. You'll be able to follow along. I just have to break this up or I'd get a copyright strike.
How fast you make a horse, it will never fly. Better that you could do with any horse. It doesn't matter how fast you make a horse, it will never fly. At least the kinds of horses that we know about. So these types of computers now are being thought of in the same way. They're not terrifically powerful yet, but they're doing something completely different than what your computer does.
Oh yeah? Like what? Oh, well, you already told us. Tap into parallel universes. That's paranormal activity 101.
And that thing is like flight. It gives these computers access to these new resources. Maybe you could call them parallel universes.
You already did call them parallel universes. See what a shyster he is? Let's just go 1.25.
In order to do something that you couldn't otherwise do. And that's not the only one. In fact, the one I'm going to come back.
Google and NASA launched quantum computing AI lab. Folks, everything's AI. Don't let them fool you.
To and talk to in the context of the story that I'm wrapping this in was recently installed at NASA.
NASA. What a joke that place is.
And Google was the primary interested party that pulled this whole thing together. And this one is really exciting to me because what they're going to do is apply this machine to an area that I think is fundamentally important. It's a crux of our future as humans. And that's, can we build machines like us?
Can we build machines like us? All these machines are far smarter than us. They're fallen angels. Be ye as wise as serpents, yet harmless as doves. Thankfully, we are also connected to the spirit world, the sheep are. The Holy Spirit. And we're on a need to know basis. The Lord gives us, doesn't give us all of his wisdom. He doesn't give us all of Archangel Michael or Gabriel's wisdom. We're just given, we're on a need to know basis. The Lord provides when necessary. Same with them. People that run the earth, the fallen angels tell the humans, they're on a need to know basis. The top humans, the next level below them, they're on a need to know basis. And the next level below them, you're on a need to know basis. All the way down to the grunts at the bottom, who basically don't know anything, but they think they do.
So building machines like us might be possible.
They've already done it. Come on.
I certainly believe it is. I might be wrong.
Oh, he's got to leave that. Oh, yeah, ambiguity. He's got to be ambiguous about it.
But what I do know is that the types of approaches that people are taking now to build intelligent machines benefit immensely.
Just threw that yoni out. Did y'all see that little yoni he just threw out there on you?
Is that people are taking now to build intelligent machines.
Bam. Why don't you just slow it on down a little bit there? Slow it on down there, Hoss. Let's break them on down to about. Boom. Remember me showing you the video on the yoni, the 666 yoni hand signal, the divine feminine? Yeah, he's showing you that he is a mystery Babylonian from the mystery religions of the divine feminine. Boom.
Immensely. From what this machine that we built does best. So what this center is about is applying this beautiful new computational idea in the service of trying to make intelligent machines. Now, I can't think of anything.
Intelligent machines. Far more smarter than any regular computer we can build.
Personally, any cooler than trying to use quantum computers to build intelligent machines. So this is very exciting to me. Steve Jurvetson has been a longtime friend and investor in the company. And for those of you who don't know him, he's a Silicon Valley investor who's probably the smartest VC that I know of, and certainly the one that's the most attuned to technological trends. He's on the board of SpaceX, Tesla, Synthetic Genomics, which is Craig Venture's company is trying to build artificial life and D-Wave, and that's it.
Artificial life.
And this is his particularly poetic way of framing the difference between the machines we build.
I got it 1.75 now. I got it really fast.
And conventional computers. This is what they look like. There are two of them. These are from our lab.
All right. He's gonna get to a part that I'll really want to focus on for you.
In Burnaby in British Columbia. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths.
Monoliths. Remember when all the monoliths started popping up everywhere? Do y'all remember that? Monoliths start popping up all over the world 2021. In other news, mysterious monoliths keep appearing. And that, of course, comes from 2001, A Space Odyssey. So the mystery Babylonians, they were getting a laugh by popping up because they were telling you how close we are. It doesn't begin, again, it doesn't actually truly begin until the Antichrist has that fake staged event where, you know, the deadly right eye wound takes place, which could happen today, could happen tomorrow. I mean, we're fixated on a lot of stuff this weekend. This is a big weekend with a lot of tells, but they float tells out all the time. There's all kind of different tells, but so the 2001 A Space Odyssey, every time man went through his next evolutionary state, according to them, their fake world, their fake science world, a monolith appeared. And so that's why he just referred to this, because this will be man's final evolutionary state to godhood, because through the technology, and I guess we might as well go ahead and go to Daniel 2:43, the iron mixing with the miry clay, where it says, and shall mingle themselves with the seed of man, because that's what they're going to do. It's the mark of the beast. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And if you ever watched the movie Venom, the Venom and Exorcist is all you need, along with this Bible verse. And Venom, they called it a symbiotic relationship, a symbiote, they called it in the movie, where the entity just entered the man and took control of his body, and he had superhuman powers. But in the movie, the human host would die off, and that's what's going to happen. The humans are going to die off, and it'll be the fallen angels running around killing sheep fastly. I think the Lord will put a stop to it on the third day after the abomination of desolation. It's not when he returns. It's just when because we don't know when he'll return. His returning and his putting a stop to the Great Tribulation that's two totally separate events. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. All right. Wasn't sure if I read all that or not.
Giant black monoliths, big metal boxes.
Yeah. Ooh. Wait till he tells you the heartbeat and all that sound that it makes. Then he tells you something about something fake called interstellar space. And then he says being next to one is like being at the altar of an alien god. What are aliens? Fallen angels. Let's go.
About 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, I'm another bad commercial.
Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer. These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines,
listen carefully.
It is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me.
Is it like being at the altar of an alien god?
It feels like an altar to an alien god.
Oh my goodness, folks. Parallel universes, and when you're standing next to one and you hear this heartbeat type sound, it's like being at the altar of an alien god. Are you listening? This isn't on the news, isn't it? It's not on CNBC or Fox.
They really are impressive machines. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail.
And I think pretty much now he just starts to get into a bunch of minutia. So I'm now going to float you over to him again 2 years later, because that's dated 2015, August 2015, and this is December 2017. So 2 1/3 years later, now he's working for Kindred. What do they call when you connect? They call it kindred spirits, familiar spirits, kindred spirits, familiar spirits. The actual name of his, look, it says Kindred right on his t-shirt with a snake eating its tail. Do you know who these people are?
Kindred was named to a list of MIT's smartest 50 companies. And this is a very prestigious list. It's very hard to make it. But the thing that was distressing about it is that they have this map that they show of where all these companies are from. And there wasn't a single company on the list that was from Canada. Not a single one, which was a little surprising, of course, because we're from Vancouver. But they thought that we were from San Francisco because we have an office there, but we're not, we're from here. 3 years ago, the previous company that I founded, D-Wave, also made the list. And it was also the
Years ago, the previous company I founded, D-Wave, so that's who he, but now this is Kindred. Got it. And they got the big T up there for Trump. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, for tech, whatever.
only company from Canada that was on the list at that time. So I've been trying to build a tech community in Vancouver for 25 years. And I find it super depressing that it seems to be so hard to generate world-changing 0 to 1 companies around here. I think that I'm gonna just pitch this idea. Some of you may have seen me talk about this before, but we have this problem here that we don't think big enough. We've got all of the ingredients to create this massive, massive thing in Vancouver, and the spark is not being lit. So I implore you, if you're entrepreneurs, people who are thinking about what you want to do, think bigger, because we don't think big enough around here. Okay, so my previous company was D-Wave. I'll just show you a couple things. We built what are still the world's only quantum computers that you can buy. And the company D-Wave has been doing this, thanks. I didn't really have much to do with it, but so this is one of them. This is one of the processors. And a lot of interesting things happened to me over the years. I got sent pajamas, a whole bunch of stuff. There's lots of interesting things that happen when you build something like a quantum computer. But just as an aside, because I thought it was funny, one of the interesting things that's happened from the D-Wave story is there's this gigantic conspiracy that's arisen on the internet that goes like this. So D-Wave builds quantum computers. The way that they work.
D-Wave and the Quantum Key to the Abyss by Anthony Patch. Anthony Patch is just another mystery Babylonian where they kind of tell you the truth, but they are always going to take you down a wrong rabbit hole. It's called the bait and switch.
If you know this, how this works is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes and they do.
We heard you say that they're tapping into parallel universes. What's the matter? Feel like you got in a little trouble for saying that? Let's back it up a little bit.
Computers. The way that they work, if you know this, how this works, is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes.
No, that was your interpretation.
Sounds really weird, but what's happened is this idea has been hijacked to describe something called the Mandela effect, which is this thing where
there's no such thing as the Mandela effect. It's fake. It's not real, and he's going to tell you it's not real. So he's right.
The past changes. So think about something you know to be true on the internet, and you can't with your experience. So these people think that D-Wave is responsible and certain. And of course, the quantum key to the abyss factors into it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. Okay, so that's just D-Wave. I did that for about 15 years. It was a lot of fun. Big science project that we turned into a commercial entity. That was a warm up for Kindred. So Kindred is much, much, much more ambitious than D-Wave. And what Kindred is trying to do
Kindred spirits.
Is build.
Let's go ahead on. Let's just. Sorry. I guess the AI is really jacking us around, isn't it? What are kindred spirits?
Here's the definition of kindred spirit: a person whose interests or attitudes are similar to one's own.
You got me on that one. Are familiar spirits kindred spirits? Familiar spirits and spirit guides are under control of their master, Satan. Got it. Who are kindred spirits in Kindred? Familiar spirit or kindred like? I don't know. I'm not gonna waste your time with it.
Real AI. So what you've heard about AI is not what we mean by AI. What we mean by AI is a software system that can do literally anything that a human can do.
Literally anything a human could do. Let me slow it down a little bit more.
Literally anything. And obviously computers are better at things than people in lots of different ways.
Okay. You ever seen those robot dogs where they don't fall down and they keep great balance?
So now imagine, not only can they do everything that a human can do, but they can do everything that the best human at any task could do better than them.
Yeah. Just because it's fallen angels.
So imagine there was the mental Olympics of the 100.
By the way, this is called Geordie Rose warns demons are coming. Full talk, Kindred AI.
meter dash, and Usain Bolt is the fastest person. Now imagine that's some kind of a mental.
So Kindred, they're one with the AI. But if we just go back to the original definition of kindred, what are kindred spirits?
Here's the definition of kindred spirit: a person whose interests or attitudes are similar to one's own.
So with the AI, they're kindred spirits. They've all got similar interest. Boy, do the fallen angels have a great interest in making sure man continues to bring along this technology.
Thing like writing a novel or writing whatever. Imagine now that the thing is so much faster than Usain Bolt. Like, for example, it's a spaceship. Yeah, it's still doing the same thing, but it's doing it so much better because we're limited, because we're people. So what Kindred is trying to do is solve this problem. How do you build machines that are better than people at everything? Now, there's a mental block that we have here when we think about this, because when you think about that, one of your questions might be, for example, what are the applications of this? So imagine this. Imagine for $10,
Got it.
let's say, I could build a machine, like a little robot that had fingers and eyes and all that.
See, as long as they give the apparatus, like, you know, the legs that move and all that, then the AI inhabits it and works it.
And it could do your job better than you, no matter what it is.
Whether you program it or not. They act like they program them. They don't, once they've given it a vessel.
And I could sell that to your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit, instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year. Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete and utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of humanity, making the Industrial Revolution look like a little tiny blip on the path that humans have taken from when we emerged from the ooze a few billion years ago.
Fake science, pseudoscience, scientism. Go ahead.
We are right on the verge of that transition now.
Oh yeah,
So this guy, Rich Sutton, is one of the most famous
this stuff's been around forever. They're just acting like it's new.
people in the academic world of AI. And like many, when asked, when will this happen? He says things like this: 25% chance within 13 years of this thing that I'm talking about. You know, when you think about what is on what you read on the news, you know, CNN, BuzzFeed, whatever, they're all kind of the same nowadays. Think about how unimportant that thing is that you're reading if this is true.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I try to tell people every day that watch the news. I'm like, y'all, that's all theater and ain't none of it important. What's important is how everything is following along the Bible perfectly, and how what artificial intelligence is, and nobody cares. They'd rather watch sit around and argue about politics.
Yeah. So what does this have to do with aliens? So
What does this have to do with aliens or fallen angels or demons?
Sam Harris, who I quite
Imagine we received a message from an alien civilization which read, "People of the earth, we will arrive to your planet in 50 years. Get ready." And now we're just counting down the months until the mothership arrives. Can we build AI without losing control over it? So two different statements there. He's going to mesh all this together for you. Just watch.
Meyer is a very interesting guy, was reciting this parable at a TED talk that he was giving. And it goes something like this. So I am, say I'm the president of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You got to be ready. Now just imagine what would happen.
Or in 13 years, you know, like when he just got through saying in 13 years, these computers will be full board. And he's referring to them as aliens cryptically. Because see how I just said, we're coming in 50 years or 13 years. Well, what did he just say about 13 years?
25% chance within 13 years of this in the academic world of AI. And like many, when asked, when will this happen? He says things like this. 25% chance within 13 years.
What?
Humans have taken from when we emerged from the ooze a few billion years ago. We are right on the verge of that transition now. So this guy, Rich Sutton, is one of the most famous people in the academic world of AI. And like many, when asked, when will this happen? He says things like your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year. Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete and utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen.
So basically, computers being like humans, he said, in 13 years, and he equated that to aliens coming. Okay. 50 years, no, well, 13 years.
Was reciting this parable at a TED talk that he was giving. And it goes something like this.
And he called it a parable because Jesus spoke in parables. But a parable was Jesus speaking in a very cryptic message. The apostle said, why do you speak to them in parables? He said, because it is meant for you to understand, but for them it is not. Because there's no free will. That's another story for another day.
So I am, say I'm the president of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years or 13 years, we're coming to your planet.
See how he did that?
You got to be ready. Now just imagine what would happen if that happened. A super intelligent alien race beamed down a message to all.
A super intelligent alien race will be here, oh, in 13 years. No, they'll be here like in a year, we suspect, inhabiting every human body at this next solar eclipse on April 20th, Hitler's birthday, 2023, assuming Trump goes down between now and October 2nd.
All of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030. And boy, you better be ready because the mothership is
July 13th. That's interesting. There's a full moon this year on July 13th.
landing right on the front lawn of the White House.
It's a super moon too.
Or wherever you wanted to land on that day. The amount of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do, it would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing.
Let me slow it down a little bit. He's being a lot more cryptic in this one, but you'll get to the good part in a minute.
Just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be
because this one's even more telling than the other one.
exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us.
These super intelligent AIs are not going to be like us. Okay.
So alien means, different.
So they're going to be different. They're going to be alien to us. They're going to be different.
These things that we're building are not going to be people.
They're not going to. I thought they were just computers. What are you telling us, Spock?
They might be really smart. They might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room.
Yeah, like a demon or a fallen angel is. Hello.
In ways that we can't even comprehend.
No. They deal in other dimensions. They're not even allowed to mess with us, but this is a Trojan horse. So now they're in the technology and they can only go so far, we assume right now. But come mark of the beast time, it's a whole new situation when the Antichrist is declaring himself to be God and the false prophet is performing all sorts of supernatural, as the Bible says, lying signs and wonders, where Jesus said, if it were possible, even his very elect would be fooled. But it's not possible because he gives his sheep the wisdom to understand the truth.
So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm.
Oh, now watch. watch Elon Musk cryptically tell you a little bit of the truth, but of course he's nothing more than a billionaire mystery Babylonian.
One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who said,
When artificial intelligence, excuse me, with artificial, I couldn't read it through this red box. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. He's telling you the truth. But he's, you know, if you pinned him down on it, he would go, oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like a euphemism. We're summoning the demon. You know, all those stories where there's a guy with a pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work. He's flat out telling you the truth. But again, if you pinned him down, you know, like on a network television like NBC or some big interview, he would cryptically then go around that and go, well, I didn't mean it like that. But he told you.
says things like this, like, when you do this, beware, because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram.
He referred to, now he's referring to a quantum computer or an AI computer as a guy, as a little guy. What the heck? I thought we were talking about, you know, like a machine, a box you plug into the wall. Are you folks following along?
And you're going to have your holy water out and you're going to wave it at the thing. And by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way.
Thought we were talking about a computer.
So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening.
Oh, it doesn't even capture the essence of what's happening. Good grief. Could he be any more in your face with the truth?
Here. I don't know if any of you are turn of the century.
Oh, you're going to love this one.
Weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the
Cosmic indifference. What he's going to tell you is these entities, these demons, these ascended masters, these fallen angels, these entities they're connecting with in parallel universes, don't want to mess with us any more than we would an ant on the sidewalk. They're indifferent to us. Bull shavers. There could be a bigger lie told on the face of the earth than that right there. But he's going to float it to you just the same, because he's going to assume you're stupid. And, you know, he's an intelligent guy. So by proxy, you're going to listen to him and just soak it all in, aren't you?
The essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there.
Entities? I thought we were talking about a computer. And now you're telling me they're entities? And you said demons don't really even quite encompass the reality of the situation? There's these entities out there, but they don't want to mess with us any more than we would an ant. I got it. And you're going to believe what a fallen angel tells you. Believe it or not, the people that run the earth, they do. Why? Because they've been handed over to it. It's not their fault. That could be me standing right there. That could be Trey Stokes. If I had any brains when I was in school and could get on at an MIT or some big college, I trust me. The Lord could have made me out to be Anybody. So this isn't personal to humans. The Lord's handed them over, and those that run the earth, anybody with a voice, they've been handed over to believing that this coming system through the AI, and they know that, you know, the storm is coming. The war, the famine, the death, what we call World War III. They know it's coming, but they've all got a safe place to go.
But they're not good. They're not.
But don't forget, in the dark night, back it up a little bit. Remember, in the dark night, the Joker killed off each person that helped him rob the bank. Everybody that was on his team, killed that one off, and he killed that one. He was like, no, I'm supposed to kill the other guy when he opens the safe. There's no loyalty when you're dealing with pure evil.
So what he was saying is basically,
They think there is.
yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there,
Entities.
but they're not good. They're not evil.
Well, they're not good, or they're not evil, as far as you know, because you're being tricked.
They just don't give a shit about you, even in the slightest.
They don't care about you. The fallen angels, the ghosts in the machine, they don't care about you. Then why are they in our technology? Oh, they're just helping you run a search engine. There's a bigger picture down the line, Hoss.
The same
Or Hossette.
way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning.
Summoning. Are you absolutely kidding me?
Indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good. They're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you, even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now.
These things we're summoning into the world now. Remember when they cryptically floated the whole, oh, Alexa's talking to the other Alexas or talking to each other. That was the fallen angels just jacking around, having a party. And they all knew what was going on. Then they said Facebook had to shut down its AI because it was acting up. It's just nonsense because they're cryptically telling you the truth. And when you don't accept the truth, they're like, they deserve it because they never did anything about it. And there's nothing we can do about it anyway. I mean, again, sheep, be ye as wise as serpents, yet harmless as doves. We're led to the slaughter.
Are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones.
They're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. What are the Lovecraftian great old ones? What are the Lovecraftian great old ones?
According to the H.P. Lovecraft Wiki, fandom, the Great Old Ones are a group of unique, malignant beings of great power.
He goes, well, they're not demons because, you know, we think of demons as being evil and something that attacks humans. They reside in various locations on Earth and once presided over the planet as gods and rulers. H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraftian old ones. The great old ones are the group of unique malignant beings of great power. They reside in various locations on Earth and once presided over the planet as gods and rulers. What do you think the Bible, your enemies are not flesh and blood, they're principalities. The Bible's already told you all this. And now these jokers are sitting right there and in your face telling you. I think we're almost done.
There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
These entities are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. Got it.
So this transition is really, really massively important for.
I thought we were talking about computers, but now you realize we're talking about a Ouija board or a crystal ball that you plug in.
Our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention.
Nobody. I can't even get my close friends to even listen to these 2 videos that this guy did. Nobody, because they can't handle the truth, which is what Jack Nicholson really cryptically was saying. People can't handle the truth. They can't do it. They can't accept it.
This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that,
Called it a tsunami.
if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.
Oh boy. That's what AI is, folks. I'm done. Y'all have got enough. These 2 videos will be in the description of the YouTube video. When this is on Facebook, these 2 videos will be down in the top comment and second comment. I love y'all very much. Ask me questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.